Welcome to the Embodiment podcast. This show is for you if you see the body as more than a brain taxi. It's for people interested in coming home to the body as a holistic aspect of who we are and how we live. Episodes contain practical tips, exercises you can take away, and interviews with specialists from around the world. I'm your host for today, Mark Walsh. So on the show today, Anouk, Brack and Alexandra Vilvovskya. So Alexandra, also known as Vilya, is the queen of embodiment in Russia, the co-trainer, trainer on the Embodied Facilitator course in Russia. Been doing a lot of good stuff online recently in Russian, just came out of the success of an online embodiment festival. We couldn't have dreamed of that 10 years ago. She's made embodiment popular in Russia. Equally, Anouk Brack, colleague of mine, friend of mine for many years, leadership embodiment trainer, trained by Wendy Palmer, amongst other people, working with the integral model a lot. Anouk has written a book in Dutch on embodiment. So we have a fairly international mix today. Hello, ladies.
Hey, good to see you. Good to be here.
Hello. Are you in Arnhem, Anouk?
Yes, I'm in Arnhem in the Netherlands.
And Vilya in Moscow, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So this one, instead of discussing the corona crisis and the virus, these discussions go around. I thought we'd offer like really practical tips today. So for listeners, this might be one you want to save until you want to, we will talk, but we'll also lead you through some exercises. We'll probably start with some centering exercises and then move to other things. So you've probably heard of centering before. How would you two describe centering?
Centering, I describe it as a quick way to get yourself back into balance, whether you're stressed or irritated, or also when you want more flow or make a good performance.
Cool. Vilya?
Agree with Anouk, and I could add self-balance and self-regulating tool, and option to have a pause between intention and acting.
Great. So sometimes I talk about state regulation or self-regulation techniques. I just taught a bunch of doctors and nurses and they called it an equilibrium technique. They liked that. That was the term they gave me. I thought, okay, we'll go with that. So the question might be, why would you want to do this? Well, generally the fight, flight, freeze response doesn't make you smarter, more creative or kinder. Generally, it makes you stupider, meaner, and less creative. So it's very few times in my life I look back and go, it was a shame I was so calm and relaxed then. I wish I was more annoyed. That would have been so much better. So this is kind of common sense, really, that it doesn't help that much. And, to be able to manage ourselves is a key life skill. There are others like expressing yourself, but this is one. And right now, a lot of people find themselves in fear, find themselves in a fight-flight response. We'll come to freeze later. And, there might be stresses. So maybe we could offer some centering for some of those moments.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Should I start with something I call turbo centering?
Yeah, why don't we do that straight away? And then we'll look at some of the situations where people might use it. So let's do a quickie, Anouk, first.
Great, quickie. So, go ahead and seat yourself or stand upright and comfortable. And when you breathe in, you grow a little taller, lengthening your spine. When you breathe out, you relax down the front of your body. Breathing in, think of someone that makes you smile. Breathe out, relax, and become aware of the space around you to all sides. That's the quick version.
Nice. So we're all influenced by different teachers, Wendy Palmer, Paul Linden, Richard Strozzi Heckler. Some of those people have influenced us, Ginny Whitelaw, Stuart Heller. And really quick, it can be so easy. Like just working with these doctors and nurses just a couple of hours ago, they was like, that's something, I did something similar. They were like, that's something I can use. I can be standing up, washing my hands, and I can use this. So let's start thinking of some of the situations where people might want to do this state regulation. Hand washing is one, because often when people are hand washing, there's a little bit of anxiety of I've just come in from my walk. I'm like, did I touch something? Oh my God, I wash my hands. So that could be a good one. And also because it's a ritual, because it's a repetitive action for many of us, it means you're centering throughout the day. Yeah, so hand washing could be one. What might be another place where people could use some of these centering techniques we'll offer?
Well, I guess we hear the word corona a lot, or COVID-19. So you could connect this quick centering, just one breath in and up, out and down, relaxing. And whenever you hear or read corona or COVID-19.
So when you say it in the Dutch accent, it sounds like you have corona. Corona.
Corona.
Corona. How do you say it in Russian, Vilja?
Corona.
Corona. You roll the R's. Okay, got it. Corona, isn't it? Where I come from.
Corona, yeah.
Coronavirus.
Cheers, mate.
In East Anglia, we put the syllables together, so it's Krona. It's Krona,
Corona.
isn't it? Krona. No, not Corona. That's 3 syllables. Krona. 1.
Corona.
So, yes. So you can, what Paul Lindner calls frying the word, which is to say the word with great joy and vigor. Corona.
Corona. And can I suggest extending your arms while you do that and smiling?
Lovely.
Corona.
COVID.
Not because you love it necessarily, but to not be so conditioned to have negative feelings and thoughts when you hear it.
So the point isn't to not take this seriously. The point isn't not to take medical advice, of course. The point is to be less fearful while taking precautions, while doing the sensible things. So we think clearly. So if we seem lighthearted in this, it's not, I'm talking to doctors around people who are dying every day. It's not that I don't take this seriously. It's that a certain amount of joy could be helpful. That's the key thing here. Okay, so we've got the word itself. We've got hand washing. Here's one. When you are having a difficult conversation with a partner you've been on lockdown with. So Vilja, can you give us a centering exercise? Daria's said the terrifying words, we need to talk. I've got into a fight or flight response. I know I've done something wrong. I've left some mess out, or done something, woken her up or something. What do I do before saying, yes, darling, let's talk?
Before you answer, you can notice where's your body. Is it forward? Is it backward? Is you stuck in some pose, or maybe you try to jump out of your body up, and you can find more balance, return to more vertical state of your body. If you're back, you can return a little bit forward. If you're too forward, you can return a little bit back, down or up. So it's balancing in the space.
Great. So using the posture to balance physically and therefore emotionally. When we get in a fight response, we might be coming forwards. When we go flight, we might be coming back. And this is where sort of one size doesn't always fit all, does it, with centering? You need to adjust, okay, I've done this. So therefore the balance part is really important, because maybe I've hunkered down in a kind of stubborn way. Maybe I've got up and anxious, but actually coming back to balance before saying, yes, of course, my darling, how can I help? As opposed to, what do you want? No, I didn't do it. That the first reactive response.
What?
Actually using this last night. Okay. So, Anouk, what's another situation we might find ourselves in this weird world we're in now?
Well, I can imagine with team meetings, online team meetings could be really valuable for people to start a team meeting centering. And these quick centerings, they're so easy. You can just talk your colleagues through it, and so you can all do it together, or you just do it by yourself if you don't feel comfortable introducing that. Even if you just do it, you already have a good impact on the meeting. And it could also be when technical challenges come up, because we can get stressed or anxious when that happens and things don't work out the way we were hoping. So then taking a breath really helps, because then you can think more clearly again and solve the issue.
Wonderful. So a team meeting, I just taught this to nurses, meeting in a team, just taking a pause, feel the body, breathe. Okay, relax the eyes so you can see peripherally. Something as simple as, and we're giving you lots of examples, listeners, so do find what works for you. Some people, Paul Linden's relax the belly, let the tongue hang loose in the mouth. Maybe that's enough for you, right? Other people, they're going to relate more to the smiling heart or the balance techniques. This is why we hit it from a few angles, and you'll find ones that really work for you. So it could be a team meeting using the technology. Other situations right now, watching the news. There's a website I go to every day. I check the latest statistics of how many people in Britain have died. I'm trying to figure out when the curve's going to flatten out and comparing it to other countries. I deliberately don't check it obsessively. I do check it once a day, and it's a little bit anxiety provoking. It's a little bit like, oh, that's a lot of dead people, and it's not a nice image. So that could be another time to watch it. Maybe you watch the news. You go on Facebook to check out the news. Any other situations, Vilja, that you can think of?
I'm thinking about connecting with other people online. So great examples. And what I can see now online is a lot of discussion and a lot of holy war around different important questions. So maybe before you want to type or post something or share some link, okay, is it real? Is it kind? Is it useful? Maybe it's not so important.
But really, what if someone's wrong on the internet? Surely you can't read that. I've got so much better at this the last few years.
Have you?
No, I really have. Like the last few years, I've got so much better than this. I walk away from conversations all the time now. Sometimes I just put a little kiss in the reply box and then walk away. And sometimes it's responding a bit more kindly, but that pause is so vital, isn't it?
Yes, and you can extend that to right before you hit send on an email.
Right.
Not just after.
That 2-minute delay on send is really useful.
It's really valuable. Yeah.
It's like I feel like computers should have a stress test, and if your blood cortisol level gets too high, you're not allowed to send an email, like a plant in the future.
Yeah.
Someone listening to this is going to make a great business idea. I hope you make a lot of money. That's a great idea.
I have an addition to what you were saying about checking the website with the death figures. And sometimes people don't realize they're in a fight-flight response because, as they say, but it's information. I need information, and they're on CNN all day, and it's poison by that time. So to be able to take a breath and turn something off is a really good practice these days. And sometimes it takes me a couple of minutes to kind of have the intention that I'm going to turn something off, but I can't yet. Right. And then taking another breath, and then I manage to turn it off. So yeah, information hunger can actually be that you're stuck in your fight-flight.
I'm realizing we're giving quite a lot of potential stressful examples for people. Their imagination might be putting them in a fight-flight. So why don't we do a sort of stand and shake? Because I'm finding for people in their stress, sometimes that mobilizing is as important as the soothing and calming. Like with the doctors on the calls we do now, before we do a meditation, we get them to do a shake and wriggle and stretch, and then they're able to settle a little bit. So just because we're going to use the video of this as well, a little shake, a little wriggle, shake your ass, like a dog coming out of the river, shake the hands like you're shaking something off your wrist. And we find just 1 minute of that with the doctors and nurses. They love it, and they feel so much better afterwards.
Yeah. Because the tension builds up, right? And you don't even notice it. So, yeah, great suggestion.
Okay, so I'm thinking of a couple of others. One would be a centering for when someone walks a bit close to you. So someone's child was running towards me the other day, right? I was in the park, and I was like, get back, small plague-bearing creature of filth. Children are particularly infectious without having symptoms. So, I'm slightly anxious about this. And the mother called the child back, but part of me tightened up. I was sitting on this bench, this child's running towards me. I was like, yeah. And had I spoken, I might have been a bit harsh to that 3-year-old. Whereas if I'm a bit more centered, it could have been a better response. So one centering technique for me is to look for something I like in a person. Yeah. So if I see someone and I go, wow, this person's annoying me. And then I go, you know what? I really like that pink jacket that Anouk's wearing. Or, you know what? This person's similar to me. I remind myself how this person has loves and losses and will die. And reminding myself of those things often warms my relationship to a person, what we have in common or something. Even if I don't like the person generally, maybe there's one thing I go, well, you know what? They might be really stupid, but at least they're kind. I can find one thing about them. So that's a little technique I use sometimes. Anything else when someone walks a bit close to you in the street or stands a bit close to you in the supermarket?
Well, one thing, we can play with our awareness of the space around us. So when someone comes close, we have a tendency to kind of make our personal space smaller, and that feels really cramped, like you're in a too tight elevator, too full elevator. So we can actually have our space awareness nice and broad in all directions and still maintain this physical distance that we need right now. And what I found is, because we're not used to this extra distance, we can feel alone or isolated. Whereas if we just mentally make our awareness of the space bigger to include other people, even if they're further away, that then feels like connection. So that can be something you can play with, having the difference between a physical distance and your awareness of the space, and that can be bigger.
Quick break to tell you about our program. So as well as the podcast, we have various kinds of online training. So we have the Embodied Yoga Principles online training, as well as in-person training. Embodied Yoga Principles for yogis who want to get yoga off the mat, specialize in the psychology of yoga, unique postures. It's a 5-day training. We have one in Brighton, one in Berlin, and one in Austin, Texas. So if you go to Embodied Yoga Principles, you can find them. Also the online version of the training for people who can't make those dates. Excellent courses. The Embodied Yoga Principles training for the yogis. For the coaches and facilitators, we have the Embodied Facilitator course. This is our flagship course. We offer it in Moscow, also in the UK. A 9-month adventure, real deep dive into embodiment. It's the biggest embodiment program I do. It could be like movement people who want to work in business more. We have people like dancers and martial arts teachers come to learn more about working in mainstream settings, but also for coaches and trainers who want something really well structured, who want to work on themselves, want to learn practical tools, learn how to work with the body in facilitation. If you can't make EFC, and it is a big ask, there's an online course we run called the Foundations of Embodiment Certification. So if you go to Embodied Facilitator, you'll find the in-person, and then --FEC, F-E-C, F for Freddie, E-C for Charlie, FEC, you'll come out with the Foundations of Embodiment Certification, and also do one-day events all around the world. So I'm just about to do a tour to Slovenia, Berlin, Copenhagen, Brussels, Amsterdam, and Brighton. The Brighton one is £10, which is like $15. So if you're coming from abroad, that could make that affordable. The Brighton one's always like a really big fun one, so that's coming up. Again, go to the Embodied Facilitator course to see all of these events. And we have a little online evening as well. If people just want a taster, again, that's £10. That's a 3-hour thing coming up as well. Embodiedfacilitator.com, embodiedfacilitator.com, and you'll find all those events with Embodied Yoga Principles for the yoga ones. Okay, so that's the stuff that I sell. Oh, and the book, the Embodiment book. If you want to get my book and learn about embodiment through reading, you can also get the Embodiment book available at Amazon and no good bookstores. So, there we go. Excuse the interruption, and back to the episode.
Lovely. I think it's maybe worth mentioning a couple of things for people who are on their own, because I've been in embodiment circles, the online circles we're doing with Google embodiment circles if you want to reach out to someone online, and a lot of people on their own at their house, and it can be they get quite touch hungry, quite touch starved, and we found that just putting a hand on the chest here for yourself, or the self-care pose from embodied yoga, like the little self-touch, that can just be real, and sometimes these downstrokes can be really soothing for people who are on their own and give them a sense of touch, even though it's a self-touch. Yeah.
And it can be a self-massage as well, right? Just your hands or your head can feel so lovely.
Anything else for people on their own, Vilja, as our resident introvert?
I found centering is quite useful for me personally when I see people having a chance walking in park or having some garden near his house, because I'm locked in literally in box. And at every time when I see something that I have no chance to get now, it's okay.
So centering rather than around stress, and the martial arts teachers have really emphasized this very useful aspect of centering. We can also center around what we want but can't have, or want, in my case as an addict, want but shouldn't have, right? Like Daria's bottle of whiskey she keeps leaving around, right? As an alcoholic, I'm like, okay, there's maybe a movement towards it, which isn't helpful. It's not, we say grasping response in Buddhism rather than fight or flight, but the grasping response is remarkably similar to fight or flight. So that could be around jealousy or craving or something like that. So it's that bit of chocolate that I'm going to eat for the 50th time because there's nothing else to do but eat, and my house is full of chocolate right now. The bottle of whiskey that maybe you shouldn't drink, or the thing you're jealous of. You see on the screen that someone else has a cat, and I really want their cat.
Yeah, and events that you were going to but are cancelled. Those kind of things as well. I can have this tendency to want to be okay with it, but not actually. So I ignore my disappointment or sadness, and then later it catches up with me, obviously, because I've been collecting. And then I deal with it all at once, and then I'm okay for a while again. So we can maybe start to notice our patterns around disappointment and sadness, or other emotions you have.
So you said something critical there, which is centering doesn't mean not feeling the emotion.
Right.
It's important to feel it, to digest it. And there might be a time when we want to express it. We want to go deeper into it, want to dialogue with ourselves, be present to ourselves, really valuable as it's transformative, but also we want to get the message, right? For me, there's a sense of like, hey, I've lost something here. And we are effectively going through a grieving process right now. Everybody has lost something, even if it's just access to their friends or, something, actually that's not a small thing. So centering for sadness might look like adding uplift. So there's the helium balloon that one imagines coming from the back of one's head that's lifting the back of your neck up, or the fluffy angel wings. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or bubbles from your feet to your legs, all through your body.
Wendy, champagne bubbles.
I didn't want to say champagne because you just mentioned alcohol. But bubbles.
I appreciate you altering your centering to my individual needs. It's very advanced. That's a sign of an advanced practitioner. They can alter what they're saying. Like if I'm doing angel wings, if I'm doing around a group of scientific materialists, that's not a good idea sometimes, right?
No.
But
with the sadness, so first feel it, right? Yeah. Because we want to get away from it. So be with it, even just count to 3 or something. Be with that, and then do the uplift.
I mean, essentially, you've got it. We teach us at EFC, don't we, Vilja? There's essentially always a choice when you feel it's, do I want to just be present to this? And that's always the beginning. Do I want to actually express it and dialogue with it and move it, which is like dancing it, for example, dancing your sadness, your anger or whatever? Or do I actually want to regulate it? Because right now it's not going to be so helpful. And we need both of those skills, really. If we just learn regulation, it can be almost like we're in denial of ourselves, this kind of robot kind of thing. And if we just do the expression, then it becomes some kind of, temper tantrums all the time. And, you'll see that in different communities. Different embodiment communities lean one way or the other, don't they? So what other great little images do you use for centering? So visualization doesn't work for everyone, but some people it's a great tool. So are there any other little visualizations you use?
Do you have one, Vilja, that you want to share?
I like 2 main images and use it a lot. First is snowman.
Talk us through snowman. So let's make a situation up here. Somebody has been on the phone to their parents and they're worried about their elderly parents. And they've done everything they can practically, and now they're just sat, they feel it, they know they care. Then they decide, I need to go look after the kids, so I need to do some centering. What do?
I can imagine that the downside of my body, like my legs, for example, or my hips, are very good, very stable, light enough, big enough ball, then I can imagine that my chest and my belly, it's also a snowball. And my head, I can also imagine it's like snowball. And I can do with this image everything I want. I can imagine this snowman like funny, with hands, with carrot, with some head upon my head. So everything I want. And give him a character with the quality that I want to have right now.
Nice. I like it. Very Russian too.
Lovely.
Some of our listeners in the Sahara going, what?
Nice and cool. Very cool. If you're warm.
Cooling's nice though. It's a cooling image. I like a cooling image.
I can add to that one because it also builds up the body like that. It's when you imagine your legs and hips to have the quality of your favorite mountain. And so that brings up some stability or a sense of strength.
You are from the Netherlands. There are no mountains there. How could you possibly have a favorite mountain?
Well, I have some favorite mountains, or hills are also allowed.
I went up the biggest hill, and I think it was near Maastricht.
It can also be, it could be Hawaii volcano, right? Whatever works.
Come on, you didn't expect a full hour without me teasing your Dutchness. Come on. Oh, so favorite mountain.
Favorite mountain, then it's the center of your body and your heart and the space in and around your heart area. Imagine there is the quality of your favorite water, like ocean, sea, river, little mountain stream, whatever works, whatever you like at that moment. And that usually brings some flexibility, some flowiness, that feels lovely. And then your head, in and around your head, you can invite the quality of your favorite sky or night sky. It can have clouds or no clouds, can have a sun, can have birds, whatever you like. And then you become aware of all three of those at the same time. So you have the mountains, the water, and the sky. And if anything's missing, just add it.
My sky was full of napalm. Do I have deep psychological issues?
Yes. Oh my God.
Did you miss me, Anouk? It's been ages, hasn't it? Did you miss me?
It's yes. I always miss you, and I don't. It's really strange.
It's a mixed bag. Same here. It's a mixed bag for me. Well, I miss you unreservedly. So we've got visualization. I like the Barney dinosaur tail. That's a bit of a classic one. The dinosaur tail, you can lean, particularly with anxiety, you can kind of lean back and down into that. So
you imagine you have a huge dinosaur tail.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because it's big and heavy and goes back and down, which is the opposite direction of most people's anxiety response of forward and up. So That's why that works well. The other one is, if you don't like dinosaurs, would be the heavy jeweled cloak, which is heavy and again behind you. Because most people, when they're anxious or stressed, they come forward, they're losing that back. So that can really give that regal sense of kind of dignity and with the down on the back. And even as I say it now, I notice a difference in my voice and in my manner. Yeah. Picturing it as I say that. Lovely. So it's a kind of almost archetypal. So that's a kind of king or queen type image. We could also work with a jester image. Like if you imagine you have a big red nose, like the jester nose, it's quite hard to be serious when you have a big red nose. If you need a bit more like fun, it's part of I'd say you can't really be stressed and genuinely having fun, being humorous. So that's a nice one. Warrior imagery, that could be helpful. And then we have the more opening, softening, like the flower opening. Mm-hmm. Like, what do I need to accept right now in this situation? Adding a flower visualization, softening the face and the belly, opening the hands just a little bit, I find helpful for that. I might not go into a full embodied yoga pose, but even just opening the hands under a table in a meeting and being like, okay, let's trigger a more accepting, open embodiment just with one part of my embodiment.
And then you can use that sentence, what would it be like with a little bit more acceptance or something else in my body right now? So if you're not that visual, then asking that question with any quality, like ease or lightness, playfulness. What would it be like with a little bit more of that in my body right now?
the sort of inquiry center.
It's like
using that.
It turns around. Instead of telling your body what to do, it's more like an inquiry, and you get curious and you invite it, and then you wait for the answer, or you listen to the answer and feel it.
A little bit more be like, yeah. And I find some people respond better to a more directive approach and some to a more inquiry-based approach. And what I learned from Strozzi was the sort of meaning-based centering, which not many people teach, which is like saying, what's important now? Yeah. Or having an image, like, for example, I have an image on my wall of 4 of my teachers, and it just reminds me of my values as much as anything. Now, there is this kind of quality of lineage and things as well, but it's like, okay, what do I really care about? Because you're probably not going to argue with that person on Facebook as a priority, right? Like, is that really a high value for you thing to do? Probably not, for the sake of what Strozzi tends to say. Yeah.
That's nice.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. There's a lot of quick ideas running around, huh? Take a breath, maybe us. Okay, so let's imagine one more scenario, which I know is stressful. I was just talking to a woman in Italy, and every week she goes to the supermarket. And, this is something she's gearing up for a few hours, maybe even a few days. She knows it's going to be stressful. She's scared by it. There's a whole procedure she needs to go through. There's this physical social distancing, and it's a bit of a mission, to leave the house to do this. And there may be other examples, but this is quite a common one for a lot of people. If it's not now, it will be. So let's all do a centering tool for, let's say, Mrs. Giovanni, who's about to leave the house to go get to the supermarket to get the family's food for the week, heroically. So, and I'll do an ABC. So awareness, feeling the body, becoming aware of sound, taste, smells, noticing your body, particularly the feet. If you're anxious, you can feel the contact with the floor. Balancing the posture, front and back, left and right, and balancing your awareness all around you. If you're reaching out in every direction. See core line relax, relaxing the eyes so you can see peripherally. Eyes, the tongue, the mouth, the jaw, the belly. You can shrug the shoulders. Lower abdominals, right down to the feet. You can imagine the feet are like melting chocolate into the ground. Reminding yourself of someone who makes you smile, something you care about. And adding any of the visualizations we've offered today. Okay, how's that? It's kind of a culmination of some of the things we've talked about: balancing, core relaxation, visualization, do extension, could add inquiry to that. I think we covered a lot. Maybe it's enough to leave it there. Is there any super quick win somatic tools? I mean, we could go into 3 center work or 4 elements inquiry, maybe another time. But is there anything super quick win you guys have been using yourself before we wrap up?
Well, one topic, this death meditation idea. Mm-hmm. Sorry, just the word death already scares me. I used to not be able to do that at all because it brought up so much anxiety. But then I did this daily kind of 4-line thing, and it's a combination of life and death. So it's not just death meditation, it's life and death and realizing the preciousness of it. So it goes kind of like this, realizing that I'm alive and that this is a precious life and how cool that is, that everything is constantly changing, and that this too, whatever it is, will end. And then a commitment to take care of myself and others, and to make my contribution as best as I can. So it kind of combines those, gratitude and accepting the reality the way it is.
Nice. Thank you, Anouk. Yeah. It's interesting. I normally do a lot of death meditation. I have skulls in my house and pictures of dead things. And recently I've actually put those away because it's been enough of a death meditation. So
Right.
I've covered them up with some pictures of children and flowers and shit, like it's, normally I'm like, we have to remember death. At the moment, I'm like, smelling in our face enough, so maybe remembering life is important too, huh? Okay, ladies, this has been beautiful. Where do people find you if they want to find you online?
Vilja?
You can find me in Facebook, Alexandra Vilvovskya, or in Instagram, the same name.
And if people are Russian speaking, because we have one of the biggest audiences for this is Russian, they're like the 8th biggest audience.
Если вы говорите по-русски, просто наберите слово embodiment русским кириллицей, и вы меня найдете.
Спасибо, дорогая. Anouk, so you want to hit us with a bit of English and a bit of Dutch, Anouk?
Yes, bit of English, bit of Dutch. Okay. So my website is Anouka, ANOUKA.nl. And if you're English, you can go to /en from English, and then you get a few English pages. Most of it is in Dutch. You can also find me Anouk Brack, ANOUKBRACK, on most social media. I'm most active on LinkedIn, but I'm also on the others.
Okay, so my normal stuff is, as always, Embody Facilitator course, embodyfacilitator.com, Embodied Yoga Principles. We've also mentioned the embodiment circles for those of you who want to just connect and chat at the moment. And covidcalm.org is the new website for daily stress management for doctors and nurses that's out at the moment. We did our first one at lunchtime today. It's amazing seeing people that maybe have never meditated or done centering before, and people get a lot from it, particularly if they're busy and stressed and it's new to them, and we're really pleased about the response, and I think it'll be of service. So
Wow.
Please do spread the words about those.
Yes.
Ladies, thanks for your time. I know you're both busy, so this will be out fairly soon. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Some ways to get more, to give back, and to get more involved now. So the biggest request I have would be to share the podcast with your friends, people that you think would really enjoy it. Email it to them, put it on your social media, tell them about it, old school. Really appreciate that. Equally, if you want to support us financially, you can go to Patreon. That's patreon.com/embodiment podcast and give us $1 an episode. And I'd say they're well worth $1. So that's less than £1 if you're in UK-ish. So please go there. On the embodyfacilitator.com website is where this is hosted. Most people I think listen to for iTunes. iTunes, we'd certainly appreciate a review. The way iTunes works means that a review means more people will find it. iTunes regards it as more important for searches. So even a couple of sentences review really does help as a little thank you to us. And if you want to go to embodyfacilitator.com, you can see the actual, links to the sites. There's comments on there. The Facebook group tends to be where people discuss things. So if you go to put in the Embodiment podcast into Facebook, there's a page which is relatively quiet and a group which does have some discussion on. So I will reply to things personally there. So also on embodyfacilitator.com website, there's all sorts of freebies there. There's videos, there's free ebooks, there's ebooks you can buy. And of course, there's our newsletter list. If you want to stay in touch and learn about things like the Embodied Facilitator course and our next Embodied Yoga Principles teacher training, then go to that website and you'll see a little pop-up and you can get the newsletter through there. Okay, so I think they're the main ones. Tell your friends, pay us some money on Patreon, give us a review on iTunes, send us your email if you want to be on the newsletter list, and get involved on the Facebook there. Bit long. Pick whatever you like that works for you. Until next time, welcome home to the body.